Galaxy Universal Network, inspiring Africa, making global impact.
Hello and welcome to Galaxy Universal Network's Extraordinary Highlights. I am BASETSANA, PHORA, also known as PAGEANTRY, and today I bring you a topic that is one that the country would never really look into it, but only once in a year kind of times, and it is pageantry, as well as pageantry as a form of career choice. We do know that there is the Miss South Africa pageant, and which is also followed by Miss Universe and Miss World. But however, there are other significant pageantries such as Mrs. South Africa, Mr. South Africa, and all other pageants that take place in and around the world. And today we are joined in by a Mrs. South Africa 2020 finalist, PHORA Msiza, to speak on, pageantry as a career choice. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on Galaxy Universal Network.
Good afternoon, Basi. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today.
Absolutely, you're absolutely beautiful. You're very beautiful. So, Mrs. South Africa is a pageant for married women in South Africa, and also, was formed and is seen as a way of empowering women.
Yes.
How significantly important was it for you to join Mrs. South Africa?
Well, Basi, for me, I've been on a journey since my 20s of being around women and impacting them in a positive way. And when we decided, myself and my family, to move to Johannesburg, I thought, what better way of getting to know the women of my new community than entering this pageant, Mrs. South Africa. It also came at a time when I had just left my corporate job, 9 to 5 hours in the mining industry for 13 years. And I thought it would be such a lovely journey to take, because I'm sort of in a transition of doing business startup after such a long time in corporate. So for me, it was really important to be in a pageant that forms as a platform, to first empower me and to also help me to empower the people and the women around me.
Absolutely, and you've mentioned that you went from a 9 to 5 in the corporate world.
Yes.
You were in the mining industry.
Yes.
From mining, whenever you think mining, you think rough, you think hard, you think difficult, and then it transcends into pageantry. One might say, she went and got a safe escape, but it's not. It's not a safe escape. It's pageantry is one of those industries and careers where one really needs to be grounded.
Yes.
How have you kept yourself grounded even when you left your corporate job?
In this pageant space, what has kept me grounded is my family. For me, it is important to always retreat and do things that fill up my passion, and one of those things is actually spending time with my kids. I have 2 kids and my husband, so it is a journey that requires a lot of you, emotionally, financially, and in other ways. But I always find that if I can retreat to the people that I love and to my art, the things that make me remind me of why I am here. It keeps me grounded, and I'm able to see, the way forward.
Absolutely. And making mention of art, you are an arty person, because when I took a look into your profile and what you currently do now, you're not only doing pageantry now, but there are other things that you're doing behind the scenes. You're now a consultant, an image consultant. Yes. How did that come about?
Okay, so how it came about is I grew up as a very artistic child. Anything from drawing, dancing and singing, I used to throw myself into those things. And as I was growing up in my teens, I really thought my career choice would be a fashion designer. But things happened, life took over, and I found myself in the engineering space. But I always kept the thought that I must always go back to my roots and find a way of making the dream of becoming someone who's operating in the fashion space a reality. And in 2015, I stumbled upon a course at UNISA, fashion buying. And when I looked at it, I fell in love with it, because not only was it in the fashion space, but it focused on marketing and the business side of fashion. And hence, that's when I started. I started studying, and I just graduated this year in March.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And in 2018, I realized while I'm studying, let me also upskill myself.
Yes.
And I found a course. It was a short course, a 2-week course that I did for image consulting. And I started blogging on Instagram. It started as a hobby of blogging and wearing outfits and sharing my outfits. And I thought, let me also do image consulting, because that will also add to my whole business and product that I'll be offering people while I'm in the fashion space. And that's how it came about.
I mean, you upskilled yourself and reskilled yourself. And that is one passion that you also have, helping others be skillful. And I figure that going into pageantry also opened up an even bigger window for you to be able to do that in terms of helping other women. How has that journey been?
Yes. So during the lockdown, I came up with an initiative. I call it Dress for Success, and the other one is called Boss Lady Movement.
Yes.
I came in touch with a woman who's running a community center in Mansiville. Went to them. We were introduced by a friend, and I actually fell in love with this community center.
Wow.
They serve kids in the community ranging from pre-primary to high school. So I came together with a couple of the other semi-finalists in the Mrs. SA competition, and we started this movement of Boss Lady Movement. And what we do is we actually go, the first session, we had a session where we were helping the high school students to assisting them in career choice. So they would do like a career aptitude test and see where their skills lie. So my passion really, and also realizing that I came from a background where I somehow found myself in engineering, but at the core I'm an artist and I want to do something about this art. I realized how important it is to match people with their talents. Yes, life, sometimes you find yourself in spaces that I would say they choose you rather than you choose them.
Yes.
But you must always have a way of, getting back on the driver's seat and saying, these are my skills and this is what I would like to do with my life. And actually take a conscious decision and choose where you want to be, where you want to operate in your community.
Yes.
And that first session at Mansiville was meant to serve that, to actually help and bring awareness to the young people to say, listen, you have a choice as a young person. If you have certain skills, and I always tell them that, there is no skill that you can look down upon.
Yes.
If you're a talkative person, it is a skill. I'm sitting here with you, and I would like to believe, you're doing what you're doing because you have a certain level of gift, your gift of talking was more than the other person. And you're using it, as a career. You can make money out of it. You can serve your community with it.
Yes.
And that's what we've done. And looking forward with this Boss Lady movement is to say, we want to empower women to be confident. I'm an image consultant, and I've also realized that people, image is not just about what you see.
Yes.
You get opportunities, job opportunities, any opportunity you can think about. People make up their mind about who you are within the first 30 seconds of meeting you. And that is your posture, that is what you're wearing and everything. And the program is also to teach women to say, you need to be confident.
Yes.
And you need to match how you look with the person that you are. So that's what the initiative is meant to do.
You're speaking of the Boss Lady movement, and what I get from that is that Mrs. South Africa is not a competition.
Yes.
It is a sisterhood, and it sounds as if you got sisters and friends from the pageantry. And how important was that? How's the sisterhood there?
The sisterhood, particularly this year, Basi, was it came in so handy. You know, they tell us when we get into the program that this is a sisterhood, and you're thinking, this is cliche. You know, it sounds so cliche. How can it be a sisterhood? These are people that you don't know. You have about 100 contestants that you start this journey with from all over the country. You don't know them, and you're thinking, there is no way this is going to be a sisterhood. But we quickly realized, especially this year after, because we got announced as semi-finalists, and quickly we went into lockdown.
Yes.
And that sisterhood came in, you know, it was such a life support for us, because we were talking, we had a WhatsApp group, you know, that WhatsApp group never, like, we had notifications 24/7. Whenever any one of us felt so overwhelmed, you could go to your sisters and say, ladies, this is how I'm feeling. You know, I mean, most of us, we even had, you know, feelings of wanting to quit, because with the lockdown, you didn't know what was going to happen. But having other women who are in the same boat as you, who are having the same challenges as you, we were able to hold each other up and say, you know what, let's not give up. Let's see how far we can go with this thing. And, you know, I have made close contact and with you know, a handful of women. These are women who I can cry to. These are women who, when I want to know where to get things, or, you know, how to proceed, they can help me. They link me to people, not only personally, but also in my business.
Yes.
We help each other, even in the business sense.
Yes.
Yes.
I can imagine entering a pageant, and I know this is not your first. However, in your early stages, it ended really quickly. You retired very quickly. You retired very quickly.
Yeah.
And coming then back and saying to your family, just like you mentioned before, that you sat down with the family and you said, this is the path I want to take. How did they receive it? It's most especially the children now. Obviously, to them, you are the most beautiful woman in the world. And how are they receiving them having to share Mommy's beauty and intellect with the rest of the world?
Yeah. You know, with Mrs. S.A., it was 3 years before I could, you know, confidently say, I think I'm ready for this pageant. So I put it off for 3 years. And this year, like I said, we moved, and I remember discussing it with my husband last year, saying, I'm considering this thing. And he said, well, are you ready emotionally? Can you carry this thing? And I thought, actually, I wasn't at that time. So when this year came and I saw, you know, the adverts to say, enter for the pageant, I thought, man, this is the right time. It just felt like the right time.
Yeah.
And we didn't even discuss it in detail. I said, listen, remember that thing we spoke about? I think I'm ready for it. And, you know, he fully backed me. And he said, well,
amazing.
Whatever it is, if you are ready, remember this is going to be your journey. If you are ready, we will support you all the way.
Yes.
And with my kids, you know, I have a girl who's 8 and a boy who's 6. I remember on one of the online learning classes on Zoom during lockdown, when all the kids had logged off, I remember him asking the teacher, so are we alone? And the teacher said, yes, we are alone. And he said, well, my mom is going to be Mrs. South Africa.
Wow.
And he said, and my mom is going to win a car. And I'm listening, you know, from the stairs, but I can't stop him because he's already talking to the teacher. But, you know, for me, that made me realize that, you know, he's owning this thing. It's such a big thing for them. I would have taken it for granted to say their kids, they cannot, they don't even notice what's happening. But hearing him say that, I thought, wow, you know, now the pressure is on, because this is not only my journey, but it's ours, you know. And my daughter, you know, she looks at me and she says, Mommy, I want to wear glamorous dresses just like you. And when we got announced, you know, recently as the finalists, I brought them to the event. She watched everything, and, you know, you can see she's taking it all in.
Yes.
And I love that, because with me being a woman who wants to advocate for women having confidence, the first place is for seeing my daughter, you know, being exposed to such.
Yes, absolutely.
And seeing that women have a choice in life, and seeing that, you know, you can actually carve your way.
Yes.
And also seeing that, you know what, we are not just subjected to the painful part of what we see as women in the world and in South Africa, you know, with gender-based violence. To say, you know what, women have a voice.
Yes.
And it is not just about beauty, but women can move mountains also.
It is not only about beauty. Gone are those days when we would say it's a beauty pageant. It is not that. It is a career choice that is valid, and it is one that the country absolutely adores, as we've seen in the past few years, as we have been embracing our Mrs. and Miss Queens that are crowned on the stages of South Africa when it comes to pageantries. We're going to take a very short break. When you come back, we're going to speak on gender-based violence, as well as how PHORA is going to get that crown eventually. So do not go away.
Make massive moves.
So from the theatre stage to the kitchen.
I'm anxiously awaiting to see Sanaya.
What else is this if not love?
Make massive moves with Starsight.
Allen past the chain.
Make massive moves.
Oh my goodness! And WBC Continental America's champion. That was delightful.
Make massive moves with Starsight. Make massive moves.
The space race has already started.
Russia had got the first object into space.
The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teams are primed and ready.
They got the first animal into space, and they got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with Starsight.
A very warm welcome back to Galaxy Universal Network's extraordinary special broadcast. We are sitting in studio with a Mrs. South Africa 2020 finalist, PHORA Msiza. We have spoken about her journey into getting into pageantry and also, you know, having left a career in the mining industry, and you are now in the creative industry where you are an image consultant. Yes. She is wearing one of her own dresses, yes, which is amazing. It is beautiful. Thank it is you. Beautiful. It all goes to show unali style, man. Unali that thing, unali class. You know, absolutely stunning. Now, something that makes it very somber at this particular point, we are in and about to exit the 16 days of activism against domestic violence on children and women. Yes. 16 days. One thing that you've been advocating for is that 16 days domestic violence and gender-based violence is not a 16-day thing. Mm-hmm. It's a 365-day thing. And the one thing that you do in order to try and help in that regard is building confidence. Yes. I take it once you're confident enough to stand up, you will be confident enough to exit, yes, and leave a situation like that. Mm-hmm. How has your journey been in terms of trying to advocate and to empower women in looking into gender-based violence?
I think for me, you know, with the programs that I run, it's mainly confidence, and the other thing is to, like I said, upskill. Yes. Our youth and upskill women. And I believe, you know, when women are empowered in that way, not only are they confident to say, I'm stepping out, but they have something to fall back on. Actually, yes, that should be the first choice, to be empowered so that, you know, women in some cases, they stay because this is where my financial aid is coming from. Yes, absolutely. You find it in relationships in young people, also in marriages where a woman will stay and they'll say, you know, where am I going to go? What are we going to eat? Mm. So the upskilling is for women to actually, you know, empower them to say, I have a choice. Mm. And if I stay, it's actually my choice to stay, but not because I need to put food, or someone needs to feed me and my children.
And the children.
Yes.
Absolutely profound there. And then in terms of the skilling, there is this thing that you're also currently doing, the inside and out makeover. Can you just tell us about that?
Yes, so that comes from, I call it the total makeover. It's actually a book that I've been working on. I actually don't have a deadline of when it's going to come out.
There's no deadline on that one, as long as it comes out eventually.
You know, so with the total makeover, the focus is not just to work on the outside as women, and I think we tend to also be stuck there as women. You know, we care about how our hair looks and or, you know, how our makeup looks, but we must also care about what happens on the inside, and hence I call it the total makeover. So that was inspired by my life. I grew up a very shy and a skinny child. I was bullied actually because of that. And you know that I took a knock in terms of confidence in my early years. But as I was growing up and also leaning on, you know, my talents, I think that also helped me to find an identity and a place, you know, in life. I slowly came out of that mold that I was put in by society or whatever forces that were in my head saying you're not good enough, and transforming to the woman that I am right now, where I am appreciating everything about myself, my body with its flaws and everything, my character with its flaws and everything. I have seen that I've made a 360.
Yes.
You know, I've developed into something that I can say, this is me, and I own that. And I call that the total makeover. And that is a gift that I want to share with other women, to say, you know, what is it that you can embrace in your life that can take you out of that space? You know, the space that limits you, the space that says you can never be anything in life, you know, and coupling it with my profession, which is image consultancy. It is to say, yes, so now you're working on the internal person, but let's also dress you up.
Yes.
To be the, you know, to reflect what
is
you are on the
inside.
inside, because you can actually have a mismatch of that. You know, people can see one thing, whereas you are something else on the inside.
Absolutely.
And it's very important to match those two.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I think one thing that we have to do is we have to thank your family for allowing not just the country but the whole world access to you and your intellect. I think that is absolutely phenomenal. And we also thank the Mrs. South Africa pageant for you know, allowing us to interact with such women, you know, throughout the country. And lastly, one thing that I would want to talk about is the blow the whistle that you have been exposed to campaign through Mrs. South Africa.
Yes. So Mrs. South Africa has partnered with Women for Women, which is a non-profit organization. They are the beneficiaries for Mrs. SA. So anything charity-based, they benefit from it.
Yes.
So they tasked us, as at the time we were semi-finalists, to go into our communities. And I think that was also, you know, it was because as a response to what is happening in the country.
Yes.
With the gender-based violence cases that have skyrocketed even
especially under lockdown.
During the lockdown,
yes.
So what the Blow the Whistle campaign does is they will give us goodie bags that we will share with school children and also women in the community. We went out to the communities, we had those goodie bags, and we also had a program that we were teaching them on how to actually respond when you are in a situation where you are in danger or you're seeing someone who's in danger.
Yes.
So first, in that package, you had a physical whistle that we shared with every child, that, you know, this is a whistle, and if you see something that looks like danger, blow the whistle.
Yes.
Physically, but also hypothetically, to say,
yes,
if you're seeing a situation like that, don't just keep quiet. You know, blow the whistle on anything that looks like gender-based violence, and both ways, to boys or girls, because remember, gender-based violence is not just about women.
It's not.
Tomorrow we could wake up and the tables could have turned. You know, yeah. So that's what it was about, and we received such positive feedback, you know, the communities were quite happy to say, you know what, we've been seeing this problem and we didn't know how to react to it. But this is one thing that we at least can say, I can act against this monster called gender-based violence.
And it is one monster that we absolutely and really have to act against, and it also starts with each and every single individual.
Yes.
Now, you've mentioned you're a mother, you are a wife, and your family has been supporting you through this journey. What is your message to the whole society, whether it is a little girl who's 5 years old and says, I want to start entering pageants, or it is a teenager who wants to enter pageants, a woman in her 20s who says, I want to enter pageants, I want to enter Miss South Africa, or even a married woman who says, I want to enter Mrs. SA. What is your message to them, and what is also the message to the families and the parents?
Okay. First, to the individual who wants to enter the pageant, I would say there's a misconception about pageants. A lot of us look at pageants and it looks like, glitz and glam. Glitz and glam. It just looks like, you know, dressing up and modeling in front of crowds. And at some point, I think I also had that notion about pageants. But I realized, especially in the Mrs. SA pageant, that pageants, first of all, will make you, they act as a mirror. So you get in there and you get to see everything about yourself. Stuff that you like and things that you don't like about yourself. And that is good because it forces you to reflect. It forces you to reflect about your life, where you are and where you want to go. So pageants are not so much a career that you can say, you know, I've made so much money from a pageant, but they are a doorway to where you know, where you want to be in life and the kind of mark you want to make. So they simply enhance who you are. So if you are a philanthropist, they will enhance that skill. The
philanthropy in you.
Yes, they will give you reach, a bigger reach than that you would have as compared to you operating, you know,
on your own.
In your own silo.
Yes.
So I would say, let's embrace pageants as communities, because first, what it does for the individual is it gives them opportunities. Gives them opportunities to self-discover. It also gives them opportunities to be linked to the kind of things that they want, you know, to have an impact on. And as for families, I would say, really, if you have a child, a wife, a girlfriend, or a mother who is in, you know, a journey like a pageant, support them, because first, it is such it's a challenging journey. Like I said, you get to a point where you get to see yourself, the good and the bad.
Yes.
And it is such an intensive program emotionally, financially. So all the support you can get from family and friends, it goes a long way. And not only does it change the individual, but it impacts the community.
It impacts the community. Not only is it about the individual who is in that pageantry, but at the end of the day, after all the philanthropy work and all the guidance that goes into pageantry, communities benefit. The conversation with Paula Msiza can continue on social media. You can send us your comments on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Galaxy Universal Network. On Twitter, we are at gun_TV. Another conversation